So usually I take one of two routes with my first impressions. I either make one of these videos based off my first session or few hours in the game, which I'd say is the most common type of first impressions video, or I make a first impressions video after a few sessions or days of playing the game. This second type of video allows me to give more details and learn a bit more about the game and what I'm discussing. And this Warframe video is based off my first few sessions, because in Warframe, you just aren't able to discover the best parts of the game from one session. Well, that's the case with almost every game or MMORPG, but in Warframe's case, you'll barely scratch the surface in the first few hours, even the first few sessions. So I've got to a point where I realized if I wanted to make this a first impressions, it's best to stop where I am now and start recording this video. Anything more is following the path of a full game review, which hopefully I will get to. And minor spoilers of this video, but I did enjoy this game. It doesn't mean it's perfect for me, but I did enjoy it and I do plan to return to it. So once I return and get to the late game, you guys can expect another video. Not just that, but a new expansion is coming soon, so there will be a lot to talk about and explore. Now, Warframe. It has been 5 years. 5 or 6 years. And around that time, your boy was working at Target and I was the electronics guy. PS4 had just released and I was selling them every day, watching our stock go empty, seeing customers drool over the next shipment, getting multiple phone calls a day.
Hey, do you guys got PS4s in? Hello, did you get a PS4 in today?
No, we did not. I wanted to be one of those annoying callers. I wanted to get my hands on a PS4. I got my first credit card and eventually walked home with a PS4 after one of my night shifts. But even owning this glorious system, I felt empty. The game selection was so dry. But one of the games I discovered was Warframe, and it seemed to be the only game that was entertaining on PS4, at least the only one that appealed to me at the time. But in those early days of Warframe, there wasn't much to do. You had a selection of frames, which are the characters that you play as for those that don't know, and you go from planet to planet doing pretty repetitive missions, defend from waves of enemies, escort missions, fight a boss, and there were a few other mission types, but it's really hard to remember. It's been 5 years. Some of you who play now and are hearing this might be saying to yourself, well, not much has changed. But if you're a veteran and you played around the early days or launch of the game, then you have seen a lot of changes. You've seen a lot added. So fast forward, and here we are now with a huge selection of frames to choose from, a pretty cool story with some deep lore, I've read spoilers, new open world areas, pet companions, new mission types, badass player-made skins, almost anything. Shit, I think everything can be obtained by grinding, and the feeling of having to spend money just isn't there, unless you really don't have the time. Or you're rolling in cash, or you don't want to grind. That kind of rhymed. Sure, go ahead, buy that new Prime, or you can just grind for it. I won't judge you. And some of you wonder about the payment models of games I speak on. How's the cash shop and whatnot? Well, from tons of players, and even those who no longer play, I've really heard nothing but good things about the payment model. In fact, speaking about spending money on skins during my live streams, I saw comments like, no one would be mad at you for spending money and supporting DE. Please support Digital Extremes. Christ. All I'm used to is seeing hell no. Don't give this company a dime when playing most other MMOs. It seems to me the main way they make their money, and yes, Warframe is free to play, but it seems that microtransactions are more focused on skins or speeding up the creation of items and blueprints. And I will elaborate on this later in the video. But seriously, there is so much to this game now, it gets me excited just thinking about it. But after playing for a few sessions, my attachment to this game still isn't quite there. This is based off my personal taste. I'm not really a fan of futuristic space kind of stuff. However, Cyberpunk wasn't even on my top 10 E3 list because of its theme, and after seeing their live stream, well, I got a pretty solid erect. Warframe, not really to my taste, with the Space Ninja theme and all, but I still drool over the character design, and the gameplay is just hands down the best fast-paced action MMORPG out there. Playing this game, dashing through levels and cutting down enemies just makes you feel like a goddamn god. Sorry. So I would really recommend this to people who are looking for a new MMORPG or game to get into, or to those who haven't played in a while like me, because there's so much more that has been added, even PvP. What did I experience in the few hours that I've played? Well, it's like starting fresh at this point. In fact, I did have to start fresh because this time I played on PC, but also because I barely remember anything from 5 years ago. For the most part, the starting mission types for the first few hours seem the same. Although I did get to explore a city this time around with tons of other players in a huge open world area, and this is such a nice addition to the game and makes it feel like an actual MMORPG. I've also got to witness other frames, cool costumes, different frames' abilities, and new areas. The customization is really, I don't know. Other games really need to take notes. You can customize your frame skins, mix and match parts like helmets, even weapon skins. You can customize the colors in multiple different parts of anything. Your ship can even be customized. Now, from my first impressions, did it really feel like an MMORPG? Not really. Only the large city and the open world area. Most other missions are instance and you take a squad with you. There might be missions where you take more than one squad, and I'm sure some of you in the comments will confirm that or correct me on anything I get wrong, but even then, it's like a limited MMO. Technically, games like Elsword, Monster Hunter Online, I'm talking the Chinese game, Soul Worker, and a few others that are similar are MMORPGs, but they feel more like co-op games, and that's fine if you're into this type of MMO. Sometimes I prefer the more open world types, and other times I prefer the more co-op types. I was told most of the time I didn't even have to kill enemies, but to just run to the objective and then to the end for extraction and mission completion. But playing like this as a new player kind of takes out the fun. So of course, I hack and slashed enemies to feel some type of enjoyment, otherwise the missions felt pointless. And yes, a lot of advice was shoved down my throat while playing this game, contradicting advice at that, but I chose to take everything in light doses and play my way. Even though I played with high level players, I still made sure to do missions in order, do even missions that weren't needed to progress, level up my gear instead of switching out as early as other players told me, which actually may have been a mistake, but whatever, I'll learn. Pretty much trying to learn the mechanics at a new player pace with some advice rather than the way the vets were trying to teach me. Sometimes just following a veteran can either take the fun out of it or you're more lost than, trying to learn on your own. I guess it really just depends on the person, and I never really felt overwhelmed playing, although there are tons of different features. Modding your frame, modding your weapons, fusing mod parts or chips, ranking up, kind of like a prestige system. You have an incubator for eggs and pets, tons of nodes to unlock, timed missions, different currencies, blueprints to create. Oh, back to mods, you have a flawed or cracked mod, elemental combo mods, warframes in prime form. I probably made that sound more overwhelming than it is. I just did that to kind of make this more entertaining. And yes, every single item in the game has its own level or ranks. Your gun ranks up as you use it. So let's say your frame is 30 and your gun is 30. You can switch to a new frame, but you'll be back down in levels, although you can still use your 30 weapon. I like this system. I love it. It's grindy, that's for sure. It's also cool for those that enjoy accomplishing goals or have OCD, like me. I really liked that Black Desert would let you use armor on a brand new character. Like your extremely strong armor on your highest level character, you can just pass it down to your new baby. I love that feature. Now, I've heard from multiple people that this game is really grindy, but I also hear it's an in and out kind of game. So maybe you want to just play for a bit, then bounce. That's cool. But maybe you want to get a new weapon or frame, so you repeat missions for hours to earn materials for the blueprint. It doesn't appear as a sell your soul kind of game like ArcAge, Black Desert, and other sandbox titles. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it is a problem for those with limited time to game. So it seems to me like the biggest con to most players is that it's really grindy, or can be really grindy, and that it has no end game, which I'm not so sure about, but a few players did mention to me it has no end game. Some said fashion is the end game, but isn't that always the end game? Regardless, a new expansion is coming out soon, introducing a new area or areas and new features, so for those that are bored, there's more coming. Now, what do I like most about Warframe? Well, the graphics, customization, being able to explore different worlds and environments. The new open world area I saw was all the different types of frames and weapons, the possibilities of your build. There's just so much that you can do. Not only what equipment you use, but how you use your frame. I played with a Volt that made me move like a hamster that got into its owner's cocaine stash. Most of all though, the gameplay. If I ever want to feel like a space ninja god, I know where to go. But I guess there are a few things that are kind of, on my bad list. They're just not major problems. Well, this right here could be a major problem, but I'm pretty sure it expands. And that's the repetitive type of missions. Sure, we switch planets and environments, but the mission types seem the same. Like the same few missions I did on Venus were the same few missions I did on Earth. Just different environments, different mobs. Another con for me is the time it takes to make weapons or items. It can range from 30 minutes to 24 hours. There might even be items that take longer than a day. But if you have some money, a little bit of platinum, which is the cash currency, you can speed up this process. As a free-to-player, you can obtain platinum without spending cash. From what I hear, you can trade other players, sell rare items, etc. So, I mean, this has to be one of the first MMORPGs where I feel like I really would not have to spend $1. Although, if I play long term, you're damn right, I'll be buying skins, new colors to customize my appearance, and platinum to rush my blueprints. So, if you have a PS4, PC, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch, you too can give Warframe a try. I feel it's best on PC for the frame rate and graphics, but also really enjoyable on the Switch to play on the go. And with that being said, this concludes my Warframe first impression. Let me know how you guys feel about this game in the comments below, and I'll catch you all in the next video. At least I hope so. See you soon, friends.